Today, we are going to use the alphabet to identify shapes that have vertical symmetry, horizontal symmetry, both types of symmetry, or neither. Before we get started, let's just quickly review what vertical symmetry is. That's if we were to use a vertical line to cut the shape, we would have two halves that are exact matches. Now for horizontal symmetry, it's the same idea. It's just a horizontal line. And I always remember them by thinking about our horizon and where the sun sets. And so it's easy for me to remember that this way is horizontal and then that way is vertical. And sometimes you can think of vertical as like your height. So north to south can help you. But let's look at the alphabet. For example, let's look at the letter A. Let's try our vertical symmetry line. Does that work? Do these two halves match one another? Yeah, so A is in fact, does contain a vertical line of symmetry. What about horizontal? What if we were to cut it in half that way? Are these two halves the same? No, they are not. So A does not have a horizontal symmetry line. But let's take a look at B. Okay, let's do our vertical first. You can tell it does not have a vertical line of symmetry because these two halves are not equal. But let's try horizontal. Yeah, this half is the same as the bottom half. So B has a horizontal line of symmetry. Do you think there are any letters that could have both vertical and horizontal symmetry? Let's try the letter H. I'm going to use my vertical line and those two match, and then my horizontal line and those two match. Okay, so H has both. Are there any letters that have zero lines of symmetry? Let's take a look at F. If I use my vertical, it's not the same, and my horizontal is not the same. So F does not have no lines of symmetry. And then this H had two lines. That's what you're going to be investigating today. Before we get started on your task, I want to go over two new tools that you're going to use to sort shapes and sort letters. The first tool is a Venn diagram. And I am sure you're familiar with a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram has two circles, or this type of Venn diagram has two circles, and it classifies shapes, and in this case, letters, between two different categories. This category is a vertical line of symmetry, and this category is horizontal line of symmetry. This was a typo. This said vertical, but it's in fact horizontal. So all the shapes that had the vertical line of symmetry would go in this circle, and then horizontal would go in this circle. But if a shape had both, remember H had both, it goes in the middle circle. So it indicates that it has both vertical because it's within the vertical circle, and horizontal because it's within the horizontal circle. And then you'll notice F and G are on the outside because they do not have either one of these. Okay, so that's the Venn diagram. You're going to be working with that today. The next type of tool that we're going to use is called a Carroll diagram. And in a Carroll diagram, there are 4 different options for you to place or sort objects. So let's go ahead and look at this one. In each, first for the columns, they'll have an example and then a non-example. So shapes with curved lines, but then shapes without curved lines. And then you're going to categorize it with another attribute, and that attribute goes on the row. So this is green shapes and then not green shapes, or green shapes and red shapes. So this box right here identifies shapes that have curved lines and are green. And then this box here is curved lines and are red, no curved lines and are green, and then no curved lines and red. So you identify where your shape goes within each one of these boxes. So if, again, whatever box it is, it has to identify with those attributes. You're going to be working on that today with your letters. So here's an example of what it would look like. A has a vertical line of symmetry. We already know that. B has a horizontal line. So in this case, it says vertical line of symmetry or no vertical line of symmetry, horizontal line of symmetry, and no horizontal. So B had only horizontal. So it goes into horizontal line of symmetry and no vertical line of symmetry. And A only had horizontal. It did not have, only had vertical. It did not have horizontal. So it's in the no horizontal, but it's in the vertical column. Now, if a letter has both horizontal and vertical line of symmetry, remember H, it goes into that space. And then if the letter has no line of symmetry, it has no vertical, no horizontal, it goes into that box. That's what you're going to be working on today. So your task is called Line of Symmetry in the Alphabet. You print all your letters here. So you would start with A and then all the way to Z. And then you place them into what column they fit in. No lines of symmetry, one line of symmetry, two lines of symmetry, or more than two. So here you're not being asked if it's vertical or horizontal yet. Then you are going to place your letters into the Carroll diagram where they see fit. And there's some questions about it. It says, which uppercase letters have neither vertical nor horizontal? Which uppercase letters have both? What types of lines of symmetry does your full name have? So if I were to draw my first three initials, I might say there's one there. And then I would include here how many lines of symmetry I had. Are there whole words that have perfect horizontal symmetry? Are there whole words that, if they're written vertically, have perfect vertical symmetry? So an example of horizontal could be the word bed. So use your information from these two to help you out with these extra words down here. Good luck.